If you want to keep playing this game professionally, you need to keep enjoying it.
A good way to deal with pressure is listening to music, just calming music while you're playing.
The amateur teams have to look a lot on the champion selection and the level 1 players. That's something people are not taking too serious, especially the champion select, to make sure you can't be predicted too well.
Make sure that your team trusts each other, be friends with them, try to make each other feel good about their games.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with a man whose heart suffered throughout the last best of 3. You can introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hi, I'm Khaled Naim. I'm the general manager of MYM, and yeah, I'm here to watch the LCS games.
Yes, and you were sitting at the top half watching the games in the dark at the end, and I heard you screaming a lot at the end. So what went through your mind when they finally did it?
I mean, I don't know. Do you want to feel it? My heart is like a roller coaster. I mean, the game was like an up and down, and it was so close. I mean, Mouse Sports played very well. And our team did maybe, one thing, but that's esport. I mean, you have some mistakes. If you do one mistake, you could lose the game. And it's like every team fight can decide the game.
They've been practicing so much for this, and you especially as general manager, how important is it that they grasp that spot in the LCS tomorrow?
Well, the thing is, the players deserved it. I mean, the last LCS qualifier, when they had it against Dragonborns, it was frustrating for them when they lost the game. And they were deprimed a bit too, or depressive. And they practiced a lot. They wanted a boot camp. That's why we choose the ESC Gaming Center in Pulheim. And they played like 10 hours every day. I mean, 10 hours? Really? It's not
dedication.
bad. But you can see it now. The communication is much more better. The team play is much more better. I mean, the last 2 weeks, they didn't have that good results or whatever. But it's unimportant. The important thing is now the LCS qualifier. And that's what the players wish themselves.
Absolutely. So tomorrow, rematch against Dragonborns in a best of 5. Mm-hmm. What do they have now of the Dragonborns they didn't have in Warsaw?
I think they know what they did wrong. And they followed the matches of Dragonborns, of LCS. And I mean, the biggest problem was the communication. Now they changed a lot. They changed really a lot. They focus on other champions. You could see it on the first match when they played Zach as example on top lane. I mean, Kuban played very well. And as far as I know, he tried yesterday to play with Zach. And he did some good results, and they decided to play Zach.
Yeah, communication. But of course, I have to ask you, first game, very well, very impressive. Second game, not as good. And those are not mistakes you can make tomorrow.
Well, it's depending. I mean, you cannot say it in the front. If you play the game and you have good picks, it's depending on the bans. I mean, you saw it. They directly banned Twisted Fate as an example. Yeah. I mean, Libic and Charu are the 2 good players who can carry a game too. Mokati with his good timing. And Kuban, yeah, indeed, it's the top lane. The top lane is top lane. You cannot change it. It's always something random. Sometimes you win it, sometimes you lose it. So I think they will do it much more better concerning, because Dragonsborn is, as far I could see, they had some player changes, and our team is playing since 2 years now together. And that's a lot of difference concerning Dragonborns, which is a new team.
Yeah, it's kind of, you guys have been playing together for so long versus a team that has had 10 weeks of LCS experience. How important do you think that will be?
I didn't get your question.
Sorry. That Dragonborns has been playing here for 10 weeks, so they know what it is to play here on this stage in the LCS. Is that maybe what will make them tricky?
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, they can play play 2 years now in the LCS. They know how is the level. They play against SKG, and which are fantastic teams, yeah, absolutely. But our guys want to be in the LCS, and that's the motivation they have. And the good thing is that our guys are playing with their heart, and I cannot see it from every team.
Playing with their heart, very nice. Last question, in a couple of words, why does MYM deserve to be an LCS team?
The question is not why are the players deserve to play in the LCS. They're practicing a lot. They changed their whole life now. I mean, they are only focusing the game 10 hours, 12 hours to play every day. I mean, everyone knows how hard it is to play one game. It's like half an hour or 45 minutes or whatever. Okay. And yeah, they just deserve it.
Yeah. Let me talk to you a little more, because it's really nice to get the insight of a general manager. What did you do when their spirits were down after Warsaw? Who was it that said, like, come on, guys, you know, we have to get back in the game?
Mokate. Mokate was one guy. I mean, yeah, he's the team captain. He has to be motivated. And we guys said, hey, come on, it doesn't matter. You have another chance. Just practice and get some experience. Check out. I mean, the problem was League of Warmogs. Everyone played Warmog. Come on, Warmog is, everyone was tanky, so you had like in every game 3 Warmogs. I mean, it's good, or it was good, but it changed completely again because Riot is patching the game every time. So, well, we talked about, or we talked a lot about the mistakes, and the good thing is that you don't have to tell the team much. They know what they have to do, and that's something which, well, where I can be proud of to have a team like this.
Yes, it seems like they are able to come up with their own strategies and stuff. Are you yourself involved in maybe if a player maybe has to be changed? But that was never the case for MYM. They just always stick together.
Yeah. No, I will never. I will never, whatever, decide something, how they should play, what they should do, or whatever. They know it directly. I mean, we have several team managers for the team. We have Sebastian, we have Tadeusz, who is a Polish guy too, and yeah, I mean, they are not talking much about what you should do in-game or whatever. That's why Mokate is definitely the best team captain I can ever see in every team or other teams.
Do you think, as a general manager, that is something that makes you different from other teams? Other teams sometimes go, we lost 2 games, we're going to change a player. We lost 2 games, we're going to do this. And you guys say no.
I think it's the biggest mistake to change a player or a strategy after 2 or 3 games. I mean, esport is esport. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. It's unimportant. You could lose with an old strategy, and you could win with a new one, but it's on the other way around too. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. To the other teams playing here, do you think there are other teams here today that deserve their spot in the LCS? Or teams that are in there?
Everyone.
Everyone?
I mean, I cannot say, for sure, I will say my team has to win it, and my team will win it, and whatever, but in the past, we saw it so many times that teams who were the favorite of a tournament or even of the LCS qualifier. I mean, if you check the scene sites, you had a lot of good things or positive things for us. Everyone said MYM will do it, MYM deserves it, and I don't know who is a secret MYM fan, but you can see it when they watch the games and they just say, yes, man, they got it now.
Yeah, there are a lot of people rooting for you, absolutely. Some final words for the team, how good they did for tomorrow.
What I do? They always say "co kurwa."
What does it mean?
"Co kurwa" means "what's up, man? What's up, man?" And you saw it that Mokate always was screaming, "Hey, come on," or something like it was a Polish word. I don't remember that, but come here. We're waiting for you guys.
We are waiting for you guys.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, good luck tomorrow versus Dragonborns, and thanks you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time to head over back to our casting desk where we have Lee D-Man Smith and Quickshot.
Thank you very much, Shock. So it is good to be back on the air. So we saw it there. Meet Your Makers, they are through to face Dragonborns tomorrow. Which teams will be joining them, though? Let's check out the rest of the brackets that's going to be happening, of course, throughout the day. All of the best of 3s that will be happening in the playoffs. You can see right there. There it is, 2-1. It's official. Dexter is actually evil, and he is out of the tournament. So, Meet Your Makers, Dragonborns. Next up, of course, it's going to be Team Alternate. They were in the same position, I guess, effectively as Meet Your Makers. They came through the same path. They went through in Lille, of course, as well. And they're up against Wizards clubs. They could potentially go through to face Ozone Giants. The Spaniards awaiting that one. Meanwhile, Sinners Never Sleep versus TCM Gaming. This is where really it's a sticky patch because, honestly, all of these next 3 best of 3s, I can't call it.
It's going to be very difficult because all of the teams have got, pros and cons to them. When you think about the players, when you think about who is on each of these teams, and for Sinners Never Sleep and TCM, as well as Samurais and Jeans and then a Nexus Esports, it's going to be a particularly diff match because these teams are very new and fairly unknown. So, you know, they've got that element where you know the players and you know the individual abilities, but who's going to come out on top in this best of 5 is going to remain to be seen.
Yeah, and you just look at the field, TCM Gaming, like we mentioned, there's a number of teams here that were in the same position back in January, back in Warsaw. TCM Gaming were there, Alternate were there, Meet Your Makers were there. Nexus actually were not there, but number of members from Sinners Never Sleep and Samurai in Jeans were both there, but they were in different teams.
Yeah, and talking about that as well, like TCM Gaming, for example, they were known as Hey, I Just Met You. So if you remember that name, that was this team, that was these players. They've been on this stage before, and they'll be looking to, you know, improve upon their past performances. Talking about a Nexus as well, this is a team that's traveled all around the world. They may not have been in Warsaw, but they went to Sao Paulo, they were in Singapore, etc. So, you know, it's really, really interesting to see how well they're going to do.
Yeah, and of course, they're going to be up against either Giants, against All Authority, or the Wolves. So that is the rest of the tournament. Of course, all best of 3s today, all of round 1. And also means 4 teams have to go home. So next up, it is Team Alternate versus Wizards Club. These 2 teams had a very difficult path to reach this stage. Alternate, you may remember, of course, qualified from Lille earlier in the season. They went 2-0, 0-2. Against MYM, who we did just see get through. So can Alternate do the same, or will the Wizards help them, stop them on their path? I don't want to help them, that's for sure. They did, of course, secure their spot from their ranked 5s earlier on, just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, talking about the teams, of course, Alternate is a roster that's filled with experience and talent. You know, this is one of the things that plays into their favor. Their players have all featured in major teams that's played at international events, and they'll be looking to draw from that experience in this particular match. Wizards, on the other hand, they're brand new. They've pretty much formed to train and try get into the LCS. I believe they formed around the end of February, if I recall correctly. And to date, they've only competed in amateur events and in online competitions, the likes of Go for Lols. So we'll see whether or not this element of surprise will be enough for them against Team Alternate. We know that they do like to run certain, you know, champion compositions, but we'll get to that once we get to the champion selection.
Yeah, of course, let's take a look at the 2 teams, because there are a lot of names in here that you may well recognize. For Team Alternate, it is Kerp, the 2nd highest ELO player in the world at the time, but Aranea, of course, in the jungle, used to be in SK Gaming. He was, of course, at the World Championships for Season 2. Forellenlord, the ELO king, has returned. Can he make it in towards the LCS? Creaton used to be in Curse EU and Eclipsia across those main teams, and Jay Ree, he's in there. Obviously, of course, played support for CLG EU back in, I believe, Dallas.
And of course, Forellenlord's already played in the LCS. He substituted for the Wolves.
Yes.
So we'll see how much that's going to help him out. Now for Wizards, these are going to be some unfamiliar faces for many of you guys. Tesla up in the top lane, Carbano in the jungle, Dragon in the mid lane, Matroco and Mithi as AD carry and support. So we'll be seeing these guys on the LCS stage for the very, very first time, and we'll see how well they perform, because Alternate, they've literally been around the world with their experience. They have traveled, they have a number of tournaments to draw from, and we'll see whether or not that's going to help them out.
Yeah, of course, it is a big difference in the experience. You just saw it just a moment ago. You know, Meet Your Makers, although despite the fact they are the more experienced team, they definitely struggled against the Dexter's Is Actually Evil. It was definitely not a clean fight. There's Team Alternate on your screens, group hug, trying to work it out, and they've got to realize they've got to flesh away all those pressures they will have in their heads. And of course, this is their chance, this is their situation. But on the other hand, you have Wizards trying to do the same thing.
So now with Team Alternate as well, coming into this particular matchup, Metalex, who was their AD carry about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, had to cut back on some of the playing due to some real-life commitments. And because of that, Creaton has obviously stepped in and taken that AD carry role. So we'll see whether or not this 2.5, 3 week change is going to affect their synergy. You would anticipate that they've prepared and practiced for this. But, you know, the last time they tried to qualify, they lost out in the groups. And it was that crazy group with Giants and with Fnatic. And they were winning the game against Fnatic for the first 20 minutes. This is Team Alternate. Before the Cogmore of Yellowstar was able to bring them back into that matchup. So we'll see if they can try to get that, you know, early game power or early game dominance again and take out their opponent's Wizards.
And, you know, just seeing the faces on the cameras, the Wizards look pretty cool, calm, and collected there. They look pretty much up for this. They were ready and waiting.
And this is one of the things that plays into their favor. There's going to be less pressure on them. As the unknown factor in this, as the, you know, the new team, the unknown team, there's no one expecting them to win, without me being too overly rude about that. You know, Alternate would be the favorites in this. You know them, you've seen them, we've heard about them. And this is something that's just going to allow them to maybe play their own game. And it's going to come down to whoever can play their game better in this best of 3.
There is Aaron on. Of course, we've had him in here in the desk as well during the LCS, as is Pharrell Nord on your screen. He played for the Copenhagen Wolves, of course. He did stand in while there was a few issues, and of course, just before Bjergsen arrived to the scene, some would say the savior of Copenhagen Wolves, I don't know. Of course, these two teams, they're looking to try and get through. They will face against the Giants, so we could have an all-Spanish affair in the, effectively the match-off to get in towards the LCS, or will alternate upset the apple cart and manage to get themselves in there.
And even that's going to be a rematch of the group stage from Warsaw. So either team going through, there is some, some relevance to their opponents in that best-of-5 tomorrow, but that is all in the future, because one of these teams is going home to give their mom a hug and say, I didn't make it. We're just going to figure out which team it's going to be.
Yeah, so you can see typing across between the two teams, starting to get themselves relaxed, get themselves ready. This is their first time, of course, here at the LCS on the stage, so where they've been watching effectively for the last 11 weeks, seeing the likes of Fnatic and Gambit, Evil Genius, SSK Gaming, Giants, Dragonborns. Don't want to forget anyone. The Copenhagen Wolves as well in there. Who have I missed? I've missed one. AAA against All Authority. How did I miss them?
It's the next matchup. So
yeah.
We haven't done as much prep for that particular matchup.
Yeah.
Because that will, of course, be Joe and Jason bringing you that game, and that may be an all-French affair, actually.
It's a possibility. We could have an all-Spanish playoff. We could have an all-French playoff, and, everyone in Europe would be happy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's almost poetic the way these playoffs have written themselves, because there's so much history between each and every single, best-of-3 into best-of-5, and it always adds more spice and more flavor to these games. Right now, we do have most of the players in the lobby, but one of the members on Wizards is just quickly reconnecting and getting his computer sorted out before we go into picks and bans. And I imagine now we can actually talk a little bit about some of the champion pool. What I know from the Wizards is they do like to run a lot of Jace. So we've been seeing that during the qualifiers for this particular event, Tesla was running Wukong in the top lane, and they were giving Dragon Jace in the mid, and they were doing some very, very cool engages with some teleports behind that mid lane tower.
Yeah, you can see Wizards there on your screen. See, there's obviously new faces to you guys at home. They are all prepping, and it's been interesting. We've been talking to the players, about obviously coming into this tournament. Everybody's been scrimming one another, and a lot of people are saying the Wizards actually are really strong, and they think they may well get through here. Yeah,
no, it's quite nice you bring that up, because we were talking to Freeze yesterday, who's the AD carry for Samurai and Jeeves.
I'm So Fresh said exactly the same to me as well.
Well, but so that's both of these teams bringing it up, saying that, look, Wizards, you can't count them out. Even though we may not be familiar with them, they're a very strong team.
They're a very strong team. So, picks and bans about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. And straight away, it's Malphite, Twisted Fate, NASA's going back and forward. Quickfire bans, as you would expect. These two teams will have researched each other so tremendously. Of course, as the games develop, they could well adjust their bans, but these currently are fairly standard ones.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary so far. The Malphite ban is a tiny bit different to what we used to see. He doesn't tend to be banned at a higher level, but can be used in the jungle as well as that top lane. But a lot of sort of high priority picks. The only one that I'm still seeing that's available is Shen.
Yeah, you can see Zac, Rumble, and Thresh also going away. And there is Zed. We saw him banned out all of the games previously in the Meet Your Makers matchup, but you can see Zed straight away, instantly locked in there. Zac was in a similar situation earlier on this morning, but seems that Zed's going to sneak through. And speaking of another ban, Diana squeaking through.
So Diana and Zed was banned on every single matchup for, from MYM's side. They didn't let it through. Now we've seen both assassins coming in here. What this will start triggering some alarm bells for alternate. They might think, well, do we want to give Zed in the top lane? Do we want to put Zed in the middle? Because you can almost predict that Diana to go mid. We have seen a couple of top lane Dianas, but it's very obscure at the moment. So that would be very surprising. But Diana Shen may be a possibility. Diana Varus may be a possibility. Those are sort of the go-to picks that you could think about.
The thing is, if you are going to go for Diana right now, you're showing your hand for the mid lane very, very early, and the whole team can be countered around that. Looks like it will be Shen, of course, a very popular pick across all regions, honestly. It's one of the top champions. No matter how much he gets balanced, he's still always in there.
It's just because of the power of that Stand United that at a moment's notice you can be anywhere. He has the possibility to get 3-man and 4-man taunts. I'm thinking back to Godbro's taunts, from the playoffs, so you've got those situations. The fact that Zed was picked very early, yes, Wizards did lock in a mid laner themselves very early, but they may feel quite confident that that's going to be the matchup they're picking into, and they're going to be fairly happy with this Diana into Zed. Does have a shield, does have the ability to burst down as well.
Very confident champion picks as well coming out from Alton. They are very quick to lock them in. They are prepared and ready then seem to be getting what they want so far. We do see, of course, Elise and Sona. Sona for J-Ree, champion he used a hell of a lot of back at MLG Dallas. Lulu being selected, and Varus, of course. Varus, very much the go-to AD carry. But look how quick Alternate are locking them in.
So locking in the Ezreal and Orianna, that's going to give you your bottom lane as, you know, being Sona and Ez, and this immediately tells you that Zed's going to be up in that top lane with Elise in the jungle. Now, they could swap that around. You could have a Zed jungle and Elise top lane, depending on this final pick now from Wizards. So Alternate are going to have this decision to make. Who does Aranea want to jungle with right now? And obviously, either option will work.
And more importantly, the Elo King himself has got his Orianna, which is effectively his champion of choice. It's the champion that he went to the top with. Safe to say, you know, he managed to play that all the time, along with Twisted Fate as well, which is obviously why Twisted Fate was banned, but amongst other things. So Twisted Fate actually carrying 100% ban rate so far in the promotion series.
Yeah, nobody wants to deal with him. He's more difficult to deal with in terms of the damage that he can put out. At least, you know, Shen's only going to offer, I use this term loosely, only going to offer split pushing, a global shield, and a taunt. But, you know, Twisted Fate has the ability to insta-kill absolutely anybody. And talking about the Elo King reference, for those that maybe don't know, during Season 2, Pharrell and Lord was the first player to break 3,000 Elo.
I think he was the first and only.
I believe he was the only one. I was thinking back, I think towards the end, J-Ree may have just broken 3,000 as well, just before we switched over to the leagues. I believe
I know
so.
Kurt was 2,980 or something like that, yeah.
Sorry. But I'd have to double check that. Yeah, but 3,000 Elo on that one. And, you know, for Lord, when he did play in the LCS for the Wolves, he had a fantastic laning phase. I remember he was playing Ari against Gambit, if I recall, and his laning phase was fantastic, but in the team fights, he just wasn't able to put the damage down on the right target. So we'll see whether or not he can do that with Orianna. Much more AoE than Ari, and obviously has the ability to game change.
But more importantly, he came at, what, 4 hours notice, I think, for that LCS performance. He's been boot camping with a week with Alternate, so they've been preparing for this one. Wizards, of course, doing a similar thing, getting themselves prepared for this one. What are we seeing with these two team compositions?
Well, we've got two fantastic compositions from both teams, but there are more damage threats from the side of Alternate right now. In that, Elise will be putting out a little bit more damage than what Jarvan will be doing for the most part. In addition, Elise has that, you know, that air of safety in the form of her repel and whatnot. What we do see, though, is a clear focus on initiation coming out of the side of Wizards. They're going to be relying on Jarvan and on Diana to dive in there and start the fights with the wild growth on top of them.
Players taking themselves a drink. It is a warm day here in Cologne, and the summer is definitely starting to strike for the summer promotion series, of course. These teams that be facing off and really trying to get into the LCS. The LCS starting sometime in the summer, of course, and these players, they want to be in it. They want to be vying for that place to reach the season through Summoners Cup World Finals. Well, it's honestly a valiant target for anyone to get into it, not to mention the fact that they would be a paid player. I almost thought that said Macnoon on his arm, but it says Arcoon or something like that. I was like, what on earth? They've got Macnoon on their arm? They're trying to channel the inner Korean in them, maybe, but it isn't to be. So here we are. We're about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. It is the first game of a potential 3-match series, a best of 3. Alternate as the blue team going to be starting down from bottom to top, and top to bottom will, of course, be the Wizards from Spain.
So we'll see how much magic they can muster when they're facing off against Alternate right now. Early level, both teams have got pros and cons to them, but I feel that Demacian standard from Jarvan could pay dividends, as it will obviously give them that very early vision. But look at the positioning from Alternate. They had a fair number stacked up in middle, and it doesn't look like we're going to see any low-level, you know, plays or action. This is something that we actually seen a significant amount of in the previous setup. It was just defensive, slow starts from all of these guys.
Well, you can see they're trying to get that ward placed in there, but Wizards being very aggressive in their defense straight away, not letting them have anything. So Hail of Arrows being leveled up there straight away, and we'll see really who is going to be where. Looking like it's going to be the 2v1 in that top lane, although saying that, J-Ree is towards the top of the jungle, so we may have a bit of rotating from Creaton. It looks like he is going to head towards the top, so they want to keep it 2v2 and 1v1.
So they want to go for the straight-up matchups, and it's going to be a matter of mystic shots here for Creaton. If he's able to get some damage down onto the duo laners, it will obviously stick because they have the sustain. Right now, though, it just looks like a jungle slot. Everyone is going to be sharing that experience and making sure they get to those level points as quickly as possible. What we do see, though, is that at the moment, it's just a slow start.
Well, yeah, just seeing Checking out the names and seeing a little name change in there, which has just thrown me off as I was trying to get my head around them. Of course, for alternate, though, we are going to have them heading on towards the blue buff. And Wizards are going to be doing the same thing. So it's going to be a 2v1 leashing coming out there. It's going to be Aranea taking away that blue buff. And it's going to be, obviously, with the help of Creaton, making sure he doesn't smite steal it. I thought he's actually going to steal it away from him then.
Really, really good start, actually, from Alternate. You know, if you look at Aranea, he's lost 0 hit points on that little start. Obviously, starting with a W, in Spider Form is going to get some HP back. And Jerry with a good little bit of poke there onto Middy's Lulu up in this top lane. Angel has just rejoined the party now, and we'll start CSing.
That's going to be straight up 2v2. What are we seeing here? This is a fairly standard. If you think back, way back into Season 2, Ezreal Sona was the ultimate poke lane. And then suddenly Lulu Ezreal became the poke lane, and now Varus has definitely trickled his way in there and seems to become the #1 AD pick now.
So the thing that you need to keep very close eye on is going to be Jayree's mana level. As long as he has mana, he's going to be able to heal. But look at this damage!
They say he's going to have a lot of mana. He's going to get poked right down there. Creaton has to try and get away from that one as well. Halo Varus landing straight on him, but Jayree immediately Ignite coming out there from Mithy.
Now Mithy doing really, really well in that setup. Getting the Ignite down earlier in the engagement means the heals coming up from Sona are going to be mitigated for the duration. Now, all of this mana Jayree's going to need to spend to get himself and Creaton back up to, you know, top health is going to sort of balance this lane out. And it's going to come down to who can consistently land poke better. Metroko and Creaton will be aiming their, you know, their Qs respectively to land the damage, and whoever hits more will, you know, keep that advantage.
Well, Aranea headed straight down south and looking like he's going straight in towards Cesta. There is no ward there. Actually, I tell a lie, there was ward by the blue buff, which you can see straight away. Carbono is going to come in and try and support him.
So we'll see. Carbono is level 3, so he's going to be able to get the knock-up in here as the moment Aranea sees him. Very wisely, Carbono stayed just out of vision. There's the pink ward down. They've jumped on him.
Straight in towards it. They will go across. Shadow Dash didn't quite catch on. He's going to repel away straight to the minions. Will he be able to escape this one? The Ignite is running, and Curb just playing defensive duties. And Wizards coming out very strong in the early lane phases here. No ganks working for Alternate so far.
Extremely confident play there from Wizards. They were completely aware of Aranea's position, and Tesla actually baited him to stay in that lane. He stayed overextended, purposefully drawing Carbono's Jarvan towards him. Then they jumped in on top. Now, Aranea's picked a fight with the red buff. He needs to be a little bit careful of the burst damage.
Tried to land the cocoon there, wasn't quite in there, but he does sink his fangs down. Remember how strong that spider can be, and he's looking like he's winning out this duel here. The explosive spider's going to come in, and it's going to be first blood for Aranea. Absolutely dominating in the jungle.
Completely taking out Carbono there. I think Carbono missed, I believe, every single skill shot that he fired. It didn't land much damage. He wasn't able to get a knock-up in place, and unfortunately just, you know, got caught with his pants around his ankles effectively and gave up that first blood. The top lane hasn't stopped the intensity, as you can see by their HP bars.
Yeah, you can see that it is going to be Wizards. They actually took a bit of damage there. They both hit level 4 first, though. See if that's some advantage they can have over Alternate. Creaton having to be forced back a little bit here, and it is definitely Wizards that are bullying out this lane. You can see in terms of CS, they've built up a 15 CS advantage already.
So we'll see if they can maintain that pressure. Right now, Jayree has no mana left, so the heals are going to be a lot further spaced out. And with that first blood kill, not only did the money go to Aranea's Elise, he managed to reset his double buffs. So he's going to have those cooldowns available to clear out for the next couple of minutes even faster.
You do see Creaton trying to make sure he doesn't lose any of that CS, pushed on towards his tower. Of course, these players very experienced in being in that situation, so generally they don't tend to miss too much of the CS. For Unlord in this mid lane, we haven't seen a great deal of him versus Dragon so far, but you can see it's pretty close still between them. They have had a little bit of engages. It looks like Carbono is going to try and sneak a peek.
One of the things you do have to look at about these mid laners is the fact that all of the HP pots are finished for Dragon, so he doesn't have that available. For Unlord with those double fairy charms, he's obviously working towards the chalice, and it's just going to allow him to continually spam out those spells just a little bit more, and that is why he's going to have this, call it, you know, 5 CS advantage over his opponents.
Carbono did back away from that one. Immediately the attack ball thrown back in towards Dragon. And the little fight for minions continues in that mid lane. Siege minion there. Shockwave comes out towards Dragon. Does he have enough to finish him off? The Ignite goes down, but it won't be enough.
So Ferenador wasn't able to get another QW combo down, but while that's happening, Jarvan has snuck himself into the bush. Was thinking about coming in there. Aranea is going to try a level 4 Dragon, and the reason that this can actually work is Dragon's going to prioritize the closest target, which in Spider Form is those little spiderlings. So this is a very, very brave move from Alternate, but it's well practiced and very nicely done. Carbono is sniffing around though. He's got some vision. It's going to be a smite battle. Who's got the better smite?
Is he going to be able to come in? Can they control him? Yes, he can. He steals it. And then in comes Tesla. He's going to catch on. And it's Aranea that goes down, equaling things up back 1-for-1. Just before that happened as well, Forellenlord actually caught himself out and missed the Siege Mini, and he missed quite a bit of important gold.
Yeah, so they put themselves a little bit further behind. Not only did the kill balance get, even out, Tesla now has the double buff. So that is the second time that both blue and red have refreshed and been transferred. And that's going to allow Tesla to bully Kerp's Zed a little bit more in this bottom lane.
So the poke from JRE on towards the top lane. They're trying to keep this level equaled out as much as possible, but it's still at 15 CS difference, of course, and it's going to be Matroco winning out. Varus also always so strong in these matchups so far. On this time around. Remember, he's got a lot of experience, won Tails of the Lane over in France before, of course, so these players have been on the main stage before. This isn't their first rodeo, as it was.
No, not at all, and it's a matter of how much can they draw from that experience, learn from it, and give themselves a good setup. Blue buff just taking a couple extra hits to go down. Finally, Forellenlord picks that one up. Maybe feeling the pressure right now, feeling the, the impact of that little misplay down in the Dragon. What we have seen from the top lane, though, is that the wave clear that both Varus and Lulu are going to offer you is going to be very, very effective, and that's part of the reason that both Creatin and JRE are held up against their tower.
I've not seen players using those big Microsoft mouses for a long time. It's like a flashback to my youth right there, I thought. I wasn't quite expecting that one, of course. The teams do have a pause coming out right now, so they're just waiting to see exactly what that is for. They did call the admin straight over, and you can see them going straight over. It was Wizards, of course, calling that pause. So we're all squared right now, and it's 1,000 gold just between the two, just coming up to 8 minutes into this game. Let's have a quick recap across the board. You can see the two top laners, or who are currently in the bottom lane, Kerp versus Tesla. It's actually very even between those, but the kill for Tesla, more importantly on Aranea, will give him that gold advantage. He's almost got the Sunfire Cape ready.
And the double buffs as well. So even though that kill happened about a minute or so ago, he's got a few more minutes left with both blue and red buff up. So we'll see whether or not he can use that to his advantage. And that's definitely going to be a lane to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and of course, looking across the jungle, we did mention the fact that Aranea did actually get that kill, but did just get caught out, which gave the assist across to Carbono, who did come in and steal away that Dragon. So Dragon is the difference in the gold right now. Looking towards the mid lane, 47 to 49 minions, very even between those two, but we do see Athene's Unholy Grail almost completed already by Forellenlord. He went straight for that. Meanwhile, we got the double Doran's Ring, which is actually going to set Dragon back in the long run, of course. AD carries, well, the CS advantage is still with Matroco on Varus, and we are back into the game.
So we now jump back into live just short of 8 minutes. So early on in this game, we've already seen lots of, interesting plays, you can use that term, and it's been very good. But at the moment, it's Wizards being a lot more aggressive, let's be honest. They've made more, gank attempts. They've been roaming a little bit more, Carbono in particular, trying to make plays. And obviously, they managed to catch out Ultimate in that Dragon Pit. So we'll see if more of the same continues. At the moment, it's only 1,000 gold that separates them.
Yeah, we do see the red buff, of course, being picked up by Aranea. Smites that one now. That won't be available for a short while, but he's not going to be going for Baron anytime soon because Dragon's already down. And it'll actually be back up before the Baron even spawns.
It will be respawning before that happens.
And it would be also the quickest Baron we've ever seen in the LCS.
Yeah, it would also be an illegal one if it happened before 15 minutes, but that's not going to be the case. It does look like we have got a few technical issues. We will get this resolved quickly. And looking back at the mouses, I've heard from Jason that Kerp was apparently using a rollerball mouse in Lille, France, which surprised many. And I'm unsure if he's using the same, let's use the term outdated use piece of hardware or not, but hey, if it works, if it's what you're comfortable playing on, why not?
Good to see Dave getting straight in there, the admin, showing him how to do it and saying, get your headset back on, son. Yeah. You can't have that off, that's against the rules. So immediately gets it back on there. And of course, look at that. You can see just a little bit of tension there, a little bit of shakes, a little bit of adrenaline shakes on the hands as well of some of the players. Of course, they're going to be just a little bit nervous on this one. So it looks like we may well have a reset on the PC. I didn't quite see there, but
it's FPS-related problems, so we should hopefully get this resolved quickly. If not, we'll just swap that entire desktop out and just get them logged in with a new one. So there are possibilities, there are solutions to the problem. It's just a matter of getting through them. But look at the focus on Aranea down the line. Second from right, and he's looking a bit nervous. He's the only member of Alternate to have gone down so far. And, you know, we'll be looking to put a good performance on him. We had a brief chat to him before this match, and he was saying that Alternate are ready. Alternate have scrimmed, have boot camped, and they're ready for this.
Jerry showing the experience that he's got literally on his arm. He's still got DreamHack Summer and Winter tags on his arm there. That's just disgusting.
So the amount of germs that must live in that particular little arm bangle thing.
There's a lot of people that do
planet.
it. Crepo does that as well, I know.
He did cut his all off.
He got rid of them all.
To be very fair, I think he realized that it was a detriment to his health and to the food that he was eating and decided to get rid of it. But nevertheless, you know, if you're proud of it, why not? You know, it is an important time for these guys. And we'll see if that experience is going to help Cherry out here.
Looks like we have a, it's a bit of paper coming out here. It's the logins.
Login usernames.
Let's not zoom in too much on that one.
No, luckily, all of the glare will help out. So that'll get them logging back into the client. And hopefully we can get Mithy reconnected. He is, of course, the support player for Wizards.
Yeah, once they do get in there, though, let's have a look. How do we see this game going so far? I mean, obviously, it's only 1-1. It's very early to tell. But lane phase-wise, what are we looking here? It's looking like, obviously, Varus is winning out that lane so far. So Matroko versus Creaton as Ezreal. Top two lanes, they're very much evil, Kerp and Tessa, but they're going to play very different roles when the game progresses.
One of the things that you've already highlighted already that we're seeing in terms of differences. So the top, you know, both of our solo laners, both top and middle, are fairly even on farm. There's not a lot separating them. But the top laner for Alternate Kerp, he's picked up 2 Doran's Blades. So he's effectively, you know, banked on some early game power. On the other side of the coin, Wizards Dragon, he's picked up 2 Doran's Rings. Now, their opponents have gone almost for Sunfire and almost for Athene. So in terms of a straight up head-to-head, they're going to be hitting power curves a little bit earlier. You know, Tessa's going to get his Sunfire cape, at which point those double Dorans aren't going to do a lot to affect him. On the same token, once that Athene's is picked up for Foreign Lord, he's going to be able to bully around Dragon. So right now, it's even, but once those items are finished, that's when we'll see differences.
So here we go, back in the game, ladies and gentlemen. This is game 1, Alternate versus Wizards. This is a best-of-3 series to reach it through in towards the playoffs against the Giants. That will be their opposition, whoever manages to get through, whether it be a 2-0 or a 2-1. Of course, we've already seen Meteor Makers going through 2-1. They'll be facing the Dragonborns tomorrow morning.
So take a look at the positioning here for Aranea. There's a pink ward in this bush, so he knows he hasn't been spotted. He's 100% sure that his enemies don't know he's there. And it looks like that both Matroko and Mithy are overextending. Where's the cocoon? They've caught Mithy!
Mithy's straight going in. Oh, True Shot Barrage didn't quite catch, but that did. Chain of Corruption comes in just at the end there. Creaton caught out by it. Does manage to get knocked back, but Mithy, wow, he had to use his Wild Growth to save himself.
Creaton completely whiffed that True Shot Barrage. If that had hit, that would have been a kill for them in the top lane, but unfortunately it did not land. And when you miss your skill shots, you don't pick up the kills. So Mithy forced to ult himself and flash away, but importantly, he does get away.
He did get away. Had to use everybody ultimates already burned there. We didn't see J-Ree. He went in for the crescendo, but didn't use the ignite. More importantly, he could have gone for that one. Ooh, the blue buff being picked up by Foreign Lord in that mid lane, and Wizards, they wanted to get involved in that, but they're a little bit too late.
So that's an interesting one. You know, J-Ree's going to flash crescendo, land it, but then not use the summoner spell ignite. So they felt that that kill was going to be in their favor. They felt they were going to secure it. And if you're going to go all in like that and flash ulti, use the ignite as well. Get a kill, even if it's for you, because you're going to give assists to your teammates, and you're going to get to those, you know, ruby sightstones earlier and really help your team out as far as vision's concerned.
There's the reason you see the likes of Edward, Crepo, etc., all picking up these kills. You know, they're securing that kill, whether
Correct.
it be for good or bad. That kill has to come in.
And of course, you deny your opponent's experience, farming, you know, time in lane, time traveling. There's more to it than just transferring that gold to your opponents. In the mid lane, there's a fight.
There is a mid lane fight, and it's going to be the shockwave coming out for Enlor. There's going to get pinned in there, and it's Dragon that picks up the kill. He's going to take a tower hit for the pleasure, but I was not aware that Wizards had the ability to time travel.
That was a great kill in the mid lane, managing to completely crush Foreign Lord down. But well played, comboing all their abilities perfectly, and Dragon didn't even use Ignite for that.
No, it didn't need to. It was a good combo, and that's really the ganks that they had to use. That was what we needed to see Aranea doing in the top lane, and Wizards showing them how it's done. And that's actually the second successful gank. I say they're successful in the loosest tense because, no, he was. Carbono was there for the dragon fight as well. That's the second one for him.
Yeah, exactly. He was involved. He picked up an assist on that one, gave over the kill to Tesla, of course. But right now, Wizards with an early game advantage. And this is something that the amateur teams that we were talking to said we needed to be aware of. We cannot count them out. We'll see if they can keep up this pressure, because once we get to the team fight stages, that's really when they need to shine.
Yeah, more importantly, for Dragon, despite that, he went for those double Doran's rings earlier on, which will set him back in builds. But because he got that kill, needlessly large rod comes out. That's pretty much equal things out straight back out there against Lord in that mid lane.
Especially depending, on the item that it can upgrade to. Well, we tend to see Dianas go for the like of an Hourglass first, and that'll obviously help out against the opponents of Zed and Elise, avoiding all that burst damage. And talking about Elise, RNA has moved himself up. There's the Crescendo!
Crescendo comes out, barriers straight away, but he flashes it away from the True Shot Barrage Ignite. Was used this time, and there was no chance of securing that.
No, none at all, but very well played by Metrako, managing to flash himself to safety. It's not over yet, though, because Dragon, he stood on top of a ward in this mid lane. He is completely unaware of this, though. So Lord knows that he's there, and there goes Dragon.
Comes straight in for him again. Remember, Lord has got Shockwave available now if he can land it, and he's gonna whiff it completely.
That he completely delayed. He hesitated. He threw out the command attack. The ball was there. Dragon was waiting to be caught, and he simply did not press R quickly enough, and that meant Dragon got away. You also seen that Aranea was moving down through the river, so he was looking to get involved, but unfortunately couldn't happen. So two big ultimates missed for Alternate. That could have put the kill score 3-2 in their favor.
And the blue buff just got, I'm pretty sure
Aranea got it.
Aranea got it, yeah. Thought so, just towards the end there. So this is actually backfiring quite horribly, unless they planned that. I'm pretty sure they didn't. Lord wouldn't have come over if they did.
Correct.
Meanwhile, Kerb's getting dived on the bottom lane here, already down to half health, and Tesla's feeling pretty strong here. Has to get away from it.
There's a fight up in the top lane, though. It looks like the ultimate's been used from Metrako. We'll get to that in a second.
He's going to go in there. You can see Metrako coming around. He's going to snipe down Creaton. Can they take Jerry as well? No, they can't. But it's another kill, and Wizards starting to look really strong here.
So the way that looked in the top lane, that's Metrako and Medi just going, really aggressive onto Creaton and Jerry's, Ezreal and Sona, landing their abilities and picking up a kill. And that's unaided. That's without jungle or mid lane assistance. If they can continue doing that, it's obviously going to bode well coming into this mid-game phase.
So Alternate definitely feeling the pressure right now as Wizards push them. As the red side, we did see a number of wins on the blue side earlier on today. The red side, it'd be nice to get a win for the red side maybe, but it's going to be the top turret going down, and that will be the first turret of the game. And it's Wizards that will pick it up. Actually, I don't think they'll get it because the minions are going to clear that. They should have got one more shot on it.
Minions will deny. It's actually not the end of the world, because that's a lot of experience lost, and when you're winning a lane, with your combo, you want to drag it out. Right now, Dragon's been jumped on by Aranea, but there's the Stand United.
The Stand United comes out. It's going to be Aranea. They go through. They do manage to get the Shadow Dash, taunt him away. He's going to repel, but he's going to have to flash straight afterwards. Dragon nearly caught it, but it doesn't matter because a pancake comes out and Carbono jumps straight on him with the Cataclysm.
Manages to squash him with a big boot, but there's another fight.
Here comes Kerp, he's diving in. He's put the death mark down on towards Dragon, but immediately he gets wiped out as well. Carbono picking up another kill there, and now is surely going to secure the Dragon for the Wizards. There's nothing they can do. They don't have their smite available.
Shockwave is available for Lord. They might take it in, but not going to throw it. Again, too late for that ability. So, first and foremost, the 2v2 in the mid lane, or in the river rather, completely outplayed. Aranea almost got to safety with that instant flash. Really good reaction times. However, the slam dunk squash from Carbono's Jarvan obviously helped them out. Kerp then goes in 1v1, what the battle was, but there were 3 members of Wizards further up the river, so I feel like he overestimated the damage that he could put down and did unfortunately give away yet another death. While all of that's going on, take a look at the build here for Creaton. He's got a build with a Cutlass and double longsword. So if he goes Brutalizer, that's a brand new build that we haven't seen.
I felt you're being very nice there. Personally, I thought I was watching solo queue there, the way they all went in one by one. This time they are going to go towards Mithy. Arcane Shift comes across, but the Chain of Corruption, is it going to be enough for Mithy to get away? Yes, it is. They turn it around. Carbono is a hero right now. Comes in, slides down, gets himself a 3rd kill of the game.
The fight's not over because Alternate won Tesla.
They're going to try and catch on towards him, but they can't catch him because, well, it is Shen after all, and he just shadow lashes away.
Carbono is absolutely everywhere, and the Wizards players are just playing their composition so well. We've seen that Mithy got caught out. Mithy should have gone down. He shouldn't have survived. Tesla's picked the fight with Kurt.
I'm not too sure he can take this one because now that he's got that Sunfire cape, he just can't get close enough. He has to get his items built up. Runic Bulwark's what he's going to go for. Sorry, Blade of the Rune King, rather. We do see Aranea having to use that repel once again to get away from this one. All across the map, Wizards are creating fights.
This is a 6,000 gold lead. 1 tower to 0 at 16 minutes. Wizards are in such a commanding position right now. They can pick any fight that they want and pretty much win because each of their individual lanes has effectively won out that lane.
They are winning all three, like you say. It's a dangerous, dangerous situation, and it's a situation that Alternate do find themselves in. How are they going to counter this one? They're trying to keep the poke down. Brennanlord's going to have to see if he can carry this one through, maybe, or will Kurt be able to pull something out? At the moment, it's not looking good against Tesla, and Tesla, you can see just the pressure he's putting on him, forcing him away from the turret, and here comes Carbono once again.
He's got those boots of mobility, so he's going to be a real menace, just getting everywhere across the map, applying pressure. Right now, look at the members of Ultimate. They're trying to stack up towards this bottom half of the map. About to walk over a ward, so Wizards will have full vision. Now, the one thing that does play into Ultimate's favor, they have the ability to simply decimate single targets. Elise Cocoon into a Z, Deathmark, etc. can delete the likes of Varus off a map. They'll have to focus a little bit harder for either Shen or Jarvan, but they can do that. And if they get a 5v4 situation, they can actually win team fights. But if they don't get a pick, they won't be able to win.
Look at the farm difference as well. Arane is falling behind so much to Carbono. The fact he's got those 3 kills as well, there's a 2-level difference already between those two. Look at the gold difference. It's a 2,000 gold gap just between junglers.
That's a very, very big amount. That's the difference of the Locket of the Iron Solari that you can see right now in Jarvan's favor. So he's going to be jumping into these team fights, giving his team that very big shield. There's the Shockwave.
Shockwave on towards Dragon, but is it going to be enough? Use the defense ball as well. Doesn't really have a great deal of mana left. And now we could see Dragon. He realizes the situation, try and turn it around there. Instead, he backs away.
Stand United was still available, so if that crescent sweep had landed and he dove in there, you would have seen Shen landing on top of him. But Shockwave up from Ferellinord does not manage to secure a kill. And right now, 2 members of Ultimate are going to try and pick up this blue buff.
And Ferellinord has to have this blue buff this time around. They can't afford to make any more mistakes. He does get it. And, well, we'll see whether that keeps him in. It does look like the bottom turret is going to go down, so that's going to be 2 for 0 in terms of turrets. Wizards really stretching a lead here.
7,000 gold advantage right now over their opponents. Those 2 towers are going to give them the ability to just roam and push wherever they want. And when you consider that Shen, as their solo laner, is doing so well, he's obviously going to be able to just split push like an absolute monster. What we do see from Creatine, though, is he's working towards the Spirit of the Elder Lizard himself. So it wasn't going to be double longsword into Brutalizer. He's going to be trying for that kite build, which is difficult to make work successfully when you're behind your opponent's AD carry.
Sonya's Hourglass almost completed by Dragon. Being very successful in that mid lane. 1-0-2. We do see Mithy coming back in again with Motroko, and really that lane has worked so well from that top. And it was Alternate that countered it. They moved their duo towards the top to really go against them, and it's just kind of backfired on them, really. They had the choice early on, but you can see it's a 30 CS difference right now. And again, we're seeing Creatine. This is kind of like become the standard Ezreal build now that he's going towards. It's something that was effectively adapted over in the Southeast Asian team in Garena, I believe, by Bibi.
Now, it's a build that works well if you manage to get an early advantage, because you can control the lane, you can kite, you get a nice damage spike early. But when you're behind, you're not going to deal the same amount of DPS as your opponents, and that's a kiting fight. You know, you want to have prolonged team battles. There is a fight in the mid lane, Arane gets the Cocoon down, and yeah, so with that, you want to draw out team fights. And when you've got a Zed, an Elise, and an Orianna, you're not going for prolonged team fights, you're going for burst and insta-kills. So I'm not quite sure I agree with it in this case, but then again, it is a cheaper build, so you do get to hit that damage peak a little bit earlier. So we'll see whether it works out.
See whether it does work out. Tesla continues to be that split pushing pain in the backside for Kerp. He can't leave this lane at all, and he's not been able to go anywhere, get those assassinations down, which is really the champion he's chosen, Zed. That's what he needs to do. He needs to be roaming around the map. We've seen Peke doing it many times. We've seen many members in Korea. Actually, it tends to be used a lot more in jungle in Korea than it does in Europe, and it tends to be the top laners so far for Europe, but it's just not working out for him either. He's been shut down pretty heavily, and it's all about Carbono. He's been everywhere on the map so far, and now we're seeing it coming out from Wizards. They're starting to ward up heavily in towards Alternate's jungle.
Out of the Wizards' 6 kills, Carbono's been involved in 5, and with all those wards that they put down, and the Dragon about to respawn, this is what they're positioning for. They have a very powerful advantage right now, about 7,000 gold, so much so that they're just going to pick a fight.
They're going to absolutely remove Ferellinord, and now the Cataclysm catches across all of Alternate there. J-Re doesn't get away with his life. Alternate's melting right now. We're going to see Dragon. Can he dive in towards it? We do see Kerp coming back into the fight. There's going to be the Stand United coming out. We do see they're trying to chase on towards this one. The snipe comes straight back. It's Mithy that picks up the kill, and that is a 3-0 to Wizards. Absolutely punishing the Alternate now. It is not over. Tesla goes in towards Kerp. He says, I can win this fight. Somebody back me up. Where is the rest of my team? We could have got a kill.
So the rest of the team's going for Dragon right now with 3-0 engaged. Wizards just dive all over them and simply decimate the alternate HP bars. That was a very, very one-sided battle. J-Ree hit a perfect 5-man crescendo, and as they were retreating, Kerp once again threw himself into the fray. He put some damage down, but it was never going to be enough to, pick up any kills, unfortunately. But a very good crescendo from J-Ree nonetheless.
Very, very good first game for the Wizards. They're 9-1 up, and that's a 9,000 gold lead over Alternate. This is not a game that everybody was expecting. Alternate were down. They are the name that everyone knows, but Wizards, we were told before this happens, are incredibly strong, and they are not giving up here. They are proving to be incredibly strong. They are just absolutely dominating Alternate in game one.
Yeah, there's no other words for it. They've won each of their lanes. They've won in the jungle. They've outplayed in individuals, and now they've just shown that in team fights they can win those as well. As long as Wizards don't throw away this mid to late game, they are in with a very good chance of going 1-0. But this is one of the mistakes that we see out of newer and younger teams, knowing how and when to close out matches.
We'll see whether they can. We're only at the 22-minute mark, just hitting the mid lane phase, and everybody's starting to be aggressive there. We do see the damage. Look at that on Motrico there. Just how much damage Ferelnor does have. If that attack ball dissonance does land, it can do some punishing damage. But the question is, you see, the problem is he got caught out at the start of that fight. He was gone before the fight even started.
Yeah, it was the chain of corruption that caught him out before the rest of the Wizards team dove onto them. And, Motrico landing that ability is fantastic. Also, his build, we have to touch on it. This is the Genja-esque build. Bloodthirster, Blast Whisper, Guardian Angel, and that's exactly what he's building. So, if he's learning from LCS teams and making it work within his own team with that amount of CS, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we could also look at the Carbono. The fact that he's been so successful in that jungle, he's actually gone for a bit of damage as well as tankiness there.
Yeah, so he's got that Spirit of the Elder Lizard. He's had that for quite a while, to be honest, and immediately followed that up with the Locket that we've already touched on, and now he's got himself a Giant's Belt. Wizards now, they got positioning and the strength of their team to just steal away that blue buff uncontested. I'm interested to see how Carbono upgrades this. If he's going to go for the likes of a Randian's Omen, that would obviously counter the likes of Zed and Ezreal. If not, maybe going to go for, Sunfire Cave, Warmog, something like that. So interested to see what he upgrades that into.
Well, the sniper Motrico does land on Ferelnor, and that kind of tells him, yeah, you do have a lot of damage. Along with that Bloodthirster, of course, the last Whisper in there. Now that he's got the Chain Fist, I'm guessing it's going to be a Guardian Angel coming out, and that's going to be serious problems for Alternate, because who the hell are they going to kill?
Yeah, that's the problem. You've got this insta-kill composition with Elise and with Zed, and if you can't, kill the most damage-dealing target, you're obviously not going to win those team fights. Right now, though, this is a 3-man Wizards in the mid lane. They don't have the numbers. Shen can join at a moment's notice, but very importantly, Dragon moved down this bottom lane to try and split push.
Now look how tanky Tesla's got. He's just picked up that Randian's Omen.
Yeah.
He's got the Sunfire from further on. There's not a great deal. I mean, Kerp, we haven't seen him properly getting onto someone. He can pop Motrico if he can get onto him. But unfortunately, he can't get close to them right now.
That's the problem. There's so much control from Shen, from Diana, from Jov, and from Lulu. Absolutely everybody can protect Motrico's Varus. That's before he puts in his Halo of Arrows and his Chain of Corruption himself. Talking about that Randian's Omen for Tesla, I really like the pickup. Now I'd like to see him going for something more aggressive in terms of damage, maybe the likes of a Trinity Force, because his Sunfire Cape will help him split push, but he needs attack speed to do it more effectively. So the 2-man Wizards, they found out Kerp, but they don't get the knockup.
The thing is, he knew they were there. They had the ward giving vision, but Alternate didn't really have any positioning to try and create a trap of their own, and unfortunately the split push continues, and Tesla's starting to bully down Aranea this time in that top lane. He's keeping the pressure on. They're going to try and collapse on towards Ferelnor here. They're coming across from the side. Will Dragon land? You bet your life he will, but they're not going to follow it up on it. Instead, they're going to push towards this middle turret. And look at this Ferelnor. He can't get close to this.
So that's 2 flashes burned, one in the bottom, one in the middle, just by walking up to their opponents, landing, 1 or 2 abilities. With the damage and the flashes down, Wizards just pick up a free tower, extend that gold to 10,000 gold right now, and they are just in complete control of this match.
What will they do with their dominance? That's the problem. We'll see whether they can keep on pushing back. Mithy is going to go back and buy. He's got that GP 10 items, of course, earlier on, and still no GP10s for J-Ree, so there's going to be a huge gold disparity between the supports, let alone, of course, that jungler. We did see 2,000 gold difference earlier on. Carbono with that advantage. They're going to try and chase down Tesla here, but he's not really an easy target to catch.
No, not at all. Sunfire Cape and Randian's Omen, you've seen Creatine use the Blade of the Ruin King active just to try to slow him down and then carry with a chase, but they're going to need a lot more damage than that to get through all of his armor. If Wizards want to start a siege, they do have the advantage that, Varus is a tiny bit further range than that of Creatine, but you know, they're going to have to be very, very careful about Zed in Elise's position because he cannot run the risk of being caught out under a tower.
They're having to keep 2 people as well to stop Tesla pushing that top lane on Shen, and he's definitely causing so many problems for them now. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we do see Dragon coming back in there. We do see also Matroko pushing on towards 2 of them, and they just, all across the map, we see Wizards pushing in, placing wards, getting vision. Alternate are really up against it.
Now, this is something you have to touch on for both teams in this moment in time. We're 27 minutes up. All of the solo laners or the people, the carries that meant to have CS are above 200 CS, which is very, very important to note. Because if the members of Alternate were falling behind in CS, there would be an even bigger gap between these 2 teams. The biggest disparity right now is in that jungle. 70 CS difference, excluding the Dragons, the Towers, and the kills.
That's definitely a big difference, and you just look at it in terms of gold. It's 3,500 now gold difference. We see a 1,200 gold difference on the AP mid laners. The top laners, that's nearly a 2,000 gold swing as well. And the AD carries, of course, that's a 2,500 swing. And the supports, 1,500 gold. Clearly, big advantages across the board right now for Wizards.
On those solo laners, or you know, the top, the AD carry, the jungle, the money hadn't been spent just yet. So now with Dragon going down, expect Wizards to all recall, spend the money that they've got. Once they hit those next item thresholds, now they're going to look to pick a fight because Varus, Matroko's Varus will now finish that Guardian Angel. He's going to rejoin this party with that extra life in team fights, and now they're in this very, very big power position.
Yeah, we did see the Zhonya's Hourglass completed by Dragon a while ago as well. He picked himself up another needless large rod bunk when he went back a moment, and he continues to clear out all of the jungle. Red buff is up, that's going to go across to Matroko. And really, what are Alternate going to do? I mean, we've seen teams in this situation so many times. We saw Meteor Makers, they were in this big advantage that actually wasn't quite 10,000, so it wasn't quite that close, or 11,000 is stretched to now, but they struggled to force them down. They struggled to take that turret down. And the initiation from Wizards is kind of the same.
So it's very similar. They do have to sort of all in to actually make their, you know, their compositions work. But now take a look at this positioning here for Alternate. We've seen a blue buff turn to Baron before. They did go a little bit slowly. If the Wizards go all in, they've got a Warmogs and a Locket on Jarvan. They've got the Randians and Sunfire, now a Negatron Cloak on Tesla. And, of course, the Zhonya's Hourglass on Dragon's Diana. They have got so much armor, they can dive any tower because they can survive it. I mean, even their AD carry has got 132 armor right now thanks to that Guardian Angel. So this is a very beefy, very damage-dealing centric team.
Looks like Wizards are going to position for Baron here. You can see the fact that Tesla down that bottom, he's pulled crates onto him, and he's just like, well, I've got the AD carry. I mean, there's absolutely nothing they can do about this Baron.
So right now, the 4 members of Wizards will be closing this up. If at any time Alternate dive in, you'll see the stand united. There comes the ulti out of Varus, but it's mostly just for zoning. Baron has been taken.
Mithy single-handedly keeping Kerp away from that one, and Zed, they are going to go in. The shockwave does land. Dragon may well go down, but he uses that Zhonya's Hourglass perfectly. Can Kerp get on towards him? No, he can't, because the Shadow Dash was absolutely pinpoint accurate, and now they're pushing on towards Aranea. He's got nowhere to drop. He's going to have to repel back in there. He does try to go towards the back, but he goes down as well. Now Pharrell's caught out. It's a 3 for 0. Can they pick up more? They're going to chase on towards Kraton. Mithy is heading off the side. He might well be able to get in towards and get a Glitzer Lance down. The rest of the team can't keep up, though. He flashes for it. Nevertheless, he is going to land the Glitzer Lance. The Shadow Dash comes in, and J-Ree goes down. Wizards are outstanding in team fights.
4 for 0 and Baron, and not one of them dropped. In the Baron pit, the True Shot Barrage split through absolutely everybody. Aranea tried to jump on Matroko and get that Guardian Angel to pop, but he couldn't make it happen. I'm going to call it now. Giants need to be afraid.
Absolutely, this is going to be a dominant win here for Wizards. They're going to take down the inhibitor. They won't take the game just yet, but as it stands, they are going to keep going and pushing through.
So we'll see. That's one inhibitor. They're onto the inhibitor, but they haven't managed to pick it up just yet. We'll see whether or not they can actually close out this game. It's going to take a little bit more, but take a look at this right now. Tesla almost being jumped on there by Kerp Zed.
Well, so everybody going to go back and buy. They've got chunks of gold. They've got kills all across the board, assists all across the board. Really, that team fight was absolutely brilliantly controlled. Dragon's Zhonya's was spot on.
Not only that, every single ability from the Wizards team. The stand united was timed so well. Once Tesla arrived, he landed the taunt. You know, Matroko on Varus, he didn't hesitate with the Chain of Corruption. He's seen Alternate coming up, and he just stepped up, dropped it, and came back to Baron. They knew that they wanted Baron first, then the fight. And this is something that, to be honest, we haven't seen yet today. This is perfect decision-making in the team fights and perfect positional play from every single member of Wizards.
Something you may well expect from an LCS team, and, well, Wizards could be that team, of course. They're looking like they're going to take 1-0 against Alternate. Can they make it 2? We will find out soon, but it's looking very much in their favor right now. At this stage, do you really benefit anything? I know this is your one and only chance, and I guess you have to wait until an inhibitor goes down until you really can throw in the cards, but this is so well stacked against them right now. They've not won a single team fight yet.
So the question you're asking is, should Alternate surrender?
Basically, yes.
That, I think, is what you're trying to get to, and it's a very difficult situation because you need to weigh off the pros and cons of your team, whether or not it's going to depress you further. If you carry on fighting and lose after 20 minutes of holding out, you cannot afford to beat yourself up about, oh, we almost pulled it back. No, if you're 20 grand behind or, you know, etc. now an inhibitor at 40 minutes, maybe it is time to throw in the towel. But Alternate, they're starting to fight out a little bit more. The Cocoon has caught out Tesla, but they've dealt nothing to him. That has barely scratched the Ninja.
They absolutely put everything on Tesla, and he is the tankiest member there. And like you mentioned, he just shrugged it off and walked away. He's going to go up towards the top, continue his split push. Wizards head down to the bottom. They're going to keep pushing down there in towards the turret. Super Minions now going to be coming down the mid lane. And Alternate, you know, they're going to struggle to get out to this. Certainly this Nest Dragon that's going to be up in around about a minute's time. There's no way they're going to be able to get involved in that one, let alone defend their base.
So what they're going to need to do is, you know, step back and go, right, this game is lost. Let's talk a little bit. Let's keep our heads calm and, you know, come into the red side matchup with an understanding of what went wrong. How do we counter Carbano's early pressure? Maybe ban out Job on the 4th. Maybe ward up a little bit more early on. And this is what they should be doing with their time, to be honest. Because this massive deficit right now and the tankiness and the damage that their opponents have, it's next to impossible to pull it back.
And it's interesting you mentioned the ban on Job on the 4th, because it's something we've seen in the LCS pretty much regularly for the last 2 weeks. It's become a standard ban, so it is a little bit surprising that it hasn't been banned out too much so far.
So in terms of the bans that Alternate did have, they removed both Malphite and Nasus from the game.
And Nasus was removed by MYM quite a lot as well.
Exactly. Now, Malphite, Nasus, and Jarvan all fill a very similar role when put in the jungle. They're initiators. They have very good ganks. Once they hit 6, they all have fantastic ganks, you know. You add the Cataclysm, you have Unstoppable Force, those types of initiations. And if you've got a roaming jungler like Carbano is, that is everywhere and practically omnipresent, you want to take those high-impact junglers away. What it then means is, what do you do about Diana? Do you just let her through? What do you do about, you know, Varus? Do you just let Matraka get him as well? Because it's not only Carbano that's doing well, it's every single one of the players for Wizards right now.
And they are starting to push in towards that mid lane. Dragon was picked up, and Wizards just stretching their lead every step of the way. Almost 20,000 gold now is the difference. Just 18.7k. It's definitely pointing everything towards the fact that Wizards are well in control of this game 1, and this does not bode well for Alternate, honestly, because this isn't a case of they got lucky in this fight, they got lucky in that fight. They dominated those lanes, all 3 of them.
Yeah, you can't say it any other way. It's a matter that, you know, those small advantages got turned into bigger advantages. Wizards have done timings perfectly. They pick up Dragon, they shop, they force it, Baron fights, and it just seems as though Wizards have, you know, played from the front in perfection. The question is, if they fall behind, let's say in game 2, do they have the ability to do the same while at a deficit? This is the mark of a truly great team.
Not a great deal of communication either coming out from Alternate at the moment. I'm looking at their mouths and not a great deal of words spoken, unless Aranea could be the vocal one. Would not put it past him.
Really? Aranea is loud?
Can't quite see his mouth right there, but they are going to back off. And they're going to continue buying and continue that pressure. Of course, you know, there's no rush for Wizards right now. They can just slowly grind this one out, slowly pull out the win, because they have complete control. And you can just see the fact that Alternate are penned into their base. They dare not leave their lanes.
So Baron has worn off on the Wizards members. That will be respawning in the next couple of minutes. My anticipation for what their game plan is going to be will be revolving around taking down the middle inhibitor again once it respawns and taking Baron. But in which order is going to be determined. Look at all the vision in and around the blue buff area, the Baron pit. I mean, there's a million wards. That's a very one-sided Christmas tree right now. As soon as that Baron spawns, if there is, you know, some misplacement from the Alternate members, Wizards will rush Baron. If Alternate try to react to Baron when their inhibitor respawns, Wizards will rush down that middle inhibitor.
Well, as has been the way all the way through, Tesla continues to shove on down these single lanes, and Kerp seems a little bit defenseless to try and prevent him. We do see positioning, of course, but he's just been dominating Kerp in that bottom lane.
So, an item has just been picked up that I hadn't even noticed being built right now. But Carbono's Jarvan has picked up a Bloodthirster.
Yeah,
this is how far he's been ahead. I missed that BF sword entirely. And take a look at this. The middle inhibitor's still down. Minions are still pushing, and Wizards just with complete control. Ultimate have no idea this is going on. They've got no vision. And they can guess and go, yeah, we probably lost another Baron. This is going to be now the 4-minute timer for Wizards to say, let's pick another big team fight. Let's tower dive and finish this game.
Yeah, they're going to have the timer on that one. They're going to be aware. You can see them looking across. And see, at this stage, like we mentioned, the team is clearly deflated. Is it doing them harm continuing it on? I mean, obviously, from my point of view, it's definitely doing me harm. It is 20,000 gold difference right now.
It's definitely a discussion.
That's not even close. I mean,
no,
yeah, we've seen one game, one entire game in my entire coverage of the last 3 years of League of Legends to come back from this one. It was Moscow 5 versus CLG, of course, but in that game, yes, my voice may have been trashed, and it seems to be heading that way because I'm picking up a cold. So I could be trashed by the end of this, but in the interest of keeping their team sane, and I'm just looking at their body language. There's no communication right now between Ultimate. They have to finish this. They have to get down and talk to each other and sort it out.
It's such a tough decision because, of course, these teams are sitting in this position now where, you know, the morale is completely busted. And it just depends entirely on your team and how you approach situations. If these guys genuinely pick up, let's be honest, 3 fantastic team fights in a row, aces without reply, they're back in it, but the chances of that happening are slim to none. Right now, Wizards, 4-man in the middle, 1 split pushing the bottom, with Baron buff, are sieging the inhibitor. Ultimate are trying to find an opening, trying to find somebody out of place, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Tesla, down in the bottom lane with Shen, has been able to split push, but Ultimate have decided that he's the bigger threat, and they're going to give up this middle inhibitor.
Yeah, he's drawn 2 members towards him. That gives up the inhibitor, no problem. Wizards do exactly what they wanted to do there. Mission successful. And they took half the damage off that turret as well. Now they're going to rotate towards the top. This is going to be an even harder split for them to deal with because Wizards now going to be much greater distance apart. And they're going to continue pushing down. It is just Kerp versus Tessa, and he keeps on putting that pressure on the turret. There's not a great deal Kerp can do about it. The shockwave comes out there. They do catch a number of members of Wizards there. Dragon using the Zony's Hourglass, but will go down. Creator manages to get the kill there. They're going to dive in towards this one. They manage to get the crescendo across Matroco. Matroco is not going to go. Yes, he gives. The Guardian Angel does manage to pop there. He can jump in here. The Cataclysm comes out, and that does manage to take him down, but Kerp picks up the kill. He's going to take down Carbono. So this will be a fight that's won by Alternate, but at what cost? They did manage to pick up a number of kills. Oh, they're going to turn it back around. Aaron is now going to get caught out. He gets taken down. It's a 2 for 2.
2 for 2 at the end of the day. Alternate started off so well. They landed the shockwave, which was great. They managed to focus down Matroco, but then they split up. They just went, hey guys, let's see where we're going to go. The fight's not over yet because they caught Carbono.
And now Kerp goes diving in. You can see he's going to be, they're not going to have the shockwaves. Carbono continuing to put that damage down with that Bloodthirst. The Forellenlord does finally pick up the kill, but Kerp goes down now. They're going to trade it back and forth. Tesla's going to pressure on towards him. He's got the help of Miffy. Can he chase down Forellenlord? Will he manage to drop him down? Oh, he shadow dashes across. Just managed to get a little poke on it. The Glitterlance coming out from Miffy from across the map there, and if Forellenlord just about uses the boost of speed to get on the fountain, you're not going to catch him, Tesla lad. Give up.
So he does manage to back away, but Ultimate, you have to think, what were you guys doing? They dove so far, they dove so deep, and then ended up giving away more kills than they needed to. Tesla is just going to face tank this turret, get it down to about half, and now decide to back away. Overall win for Wizards because they came out pretty much even as far as kills were concerned. They retook down that middle inhibitor, and they got a lot of free damage on both the top and the bottom lane inhib turrets.
But on the other side, Alternate against the bound-up team had a pretty successful fight there. They are, of course, going to lose the Dragon now. That's going to stretch it back to a 20,000 gold lead. And just look at all the items popping into place now.
So one of the big things there about that particular fight as well is Matroco's killing streak bonus did go to Kerp. So it went to Zed, which has allowed him to finish off that Black Cleaver. At 40 minutes in the game, the only items that he has right now is Blade of the Ruined King, Black Cleaver, and a pickaxe. That is not what you want to be seeing out of your Zed, your solo laner Zed. But if he can, of course, focus down Matroco in those team fights, you can see what effect they have. You can see they're able to actually win.
Well, we'll see whether that is indeed the case. 41 minutes now, and it's 16-4, and a 20,000 gold advantage for the Wizards in game 1. against Alternate. Giants, of course, will be watching with an eagle eye over these two teams. I'm pretty sure they're going to know the Wizards, their Spanish rivals, no doubt. Very much like a hawk, but it seems to be Alternate that are up against it right now. We're starting to see those big numbers coming out from the AD carries, and this is the time where the AD carries will shine, and honestly, Matroco is a long way ahead in terms of builds.
In terms of that regard, Matroco will be shining. I'm going to be very honest, I don't think Creatin will shine quite as much. If you look at his build, he does have a Blade of the Ruined King and a Last Whisper, which are obviously going to help against the tanks, but in comparison to Infinity Edge, Bloodthirst, the Last Whisper, he's going to be dealing significantly less, you know, auto-attack damage. The benefit to his build, though, is he, with that Spirit of the Elder Lizard, he's going to have that, you know, damage over time, which is true damage, and the ability to zone control once he completes this gauntlet. Right now, though, it's a 4-1 split. Has worked out badly for Wizards the last time they tried it. Maybe they've learned from their previous mistakes.
Well, we can see Tesla continuing to push in the bottom left of your screen. Meanwhile, the rest of Wizards go in there. It's going to be a flash here. They're going to go in immediately, pull the Sonya's Hourglass, tried to bait it out there, but they will get the turret down. Crescendo comes across, only landed on Dragon. Here comes the Stan United. He goes straight across on towards Aranea, but they're going to take the inhibitor down, and that will be a second one for the Wizards, and putting yet more pressure on towards Alternate. They're trying to get some anything from it at this one, but they can't chase down. Shirelias were all popped there, trying to chase down. Not going to happen, though, and second inhib burned.
Simply go man mode and force Alternate out of the fight. There was nothing that they could do in that engagement. They brute forced their way in, and they did it in a very intelligent way. Diana dove forward, instantly popped the Hourglass, then had the Shen teleport on top. So it was very good play. Now with both the top and the middle lane inhibitor, you know, if Alternate weren't stuck in their base already, they're still going to be for the next couple of minutes. But it does give them a lot of free farm.
Pig wards were placed in that bottom lane as well by Tesla before he went, so he kept full vision. We just saw Kurt heading up there, and they were heading straight towards him. As soon as he was like, probably not the best idea. I'm going to go back to my base and stand just by the fountain.
Yeah, go back away, just get back to safety. Spend some of the money that they've gotten. You know, just try to keep up right now. Wizards 16-4, quadruple the kills. They've still held that 20,000 gold difference. Let's be honest, Tesla is unkillable right now. With all of the items he's got, with the defensive stats and the shields, etc., he's so beefy. The third Baron of the game will spawn in 10 seconds, and Wizards will be there with a red carpet waiting to greet him and taking down their third consecutive Baron Nashor.
And of course, the tanking is right now 507 Tesla, Ranlian's Omen, Runic Bulwark, Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage. He's unkillable right now. He's just a walking brick wall. And he's just, you know, hitting you with those bricks. He's just throwing them at you.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all he's doing.
And there's nothing that you can do with the rest of his kit. He can tower dive you, he can pick fights. I mean, we've seen in the previous engagement, he forced out the DPS of Orianna and Zed alone. It was him and Lulu versus Orianna, Zed, and I believe Jerry as well. So it was like, well, if your solo laners can't take down, two solo laners can't take down one solo laner, it says a lot about the pace of the game. Matroco's working towards most likely that Phantom Dancer. And once he picks that up, then his damage is just going to be absurdly high. And right now, Wizards are just going to brute force in and retake this middle inhibitor.
Yeah, we just saw the combo coming out from Kurt there on Tesla and did not make a single dent. Of course, this is a Shirelia's team against non-Shirelia's, so Wizards can run and engage whenever they choose.
And look at the pickup here from Dragon. He's picked up a Quicksilver Sash on Diana. This is an item that we don't see on Diana's at all. Oh, there's a lot of damage onto Matroco. He was forced very low. Didn't see exactly what caused that. It was the shockwave from Pharrell Lord.
The shockwave did come out, but that is going to be the turret going down. So Ultimate was used by Pharrell Lord there, just off camera. As it stands, it is going to be Wizards continuing to push, of course, with that Baron. You can see immediately the regeneration, the lifesteal that he's gaining up there as he goes around, clears out the jungle. And now this final bottom inhibitor is going to be the focus of target for the Wizards. They do manage to catch on towards Pharrell Lord there. Just a little poke. We do have this spawn in this mid lane, but again, the poke back and forward. They are going to go in. The repel comes out. It's Pharrell Lord's going to get caught. He gets absolutely pancaked there. And there comes the Crescendo. Did not catch on anyone, and more importantly from J-Ree. That's going to be the third inhibitor of the game going down, and Wizards, they're just going to keep pushing through.
Yeah, there's nothing that Alternate can do right now. They've lost Pharrell Lord. All three inhibitors down. Their super minions almost at the Nexus turrets, and this incredibly strong Spanish lineup is going to pick up the first victory in the best of three. Remember, the winner will face off against Giants, and wow, Wizards, what a show.
Well, to be fair to the Wizards, they had full control throughout the game there, and they absolutely dominated the lane phase, and no surprise that they took the victory towards the end there. A 25,000 gold lead by the end of that game. Absolute domination, very one-sided performance. by the Wizards, and that's going to be a worry for Alternate. They've got to make sure they do not lose those lane phases in Game 2, or they will be out of the LCS Summer Promotion already, of course. We are going to pass across to our analysts for this game. Not a lot to analyse, I've got to be honest. It was a pretty one-sided performance, and it's clear to say that Wizards really had that one in the bag. It's Joe and Jason.
Thanks a lot, Demon, and I think hitting the nail on the head there with that final comment that there's really not a lot to analyze this game. 45 minutes and 42 seconds. I'm really surprised that this game actually went that long, and I think it's good for Alternate that they did hang on to that one, that they did pick up a few kills there at the end, because if they'd have, let's kind of rewind here, because first blood went to Alternate.
Yeah.
RNA 1v1 in the jungle against Carbono.
Well, we have to say,
easy kill for him.
When we saw that happen, Joe and I were looking at each other like, what was that? Like, we were confused. Like, it seemed like maybe Wizards weren't good. Like, just from the fact that he was trying to 1v1 RNA buffs, you know, you had Zed right by to come in, and yet it didn't matter. I mean, yeah, he died, but he just kind of like 360'd it and just played amazing throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, they just obviously they went on to pretty much not lose any more kills. Only 3 more were picked up in the rest of the game there by Alternate. So, you know, in terms of analysis here, you know, I think it was all said in the cast itself. The lanes, they were dominated by the Wizards. They were played so well. In terms of Carbono, as he said, we lost first blood, and we were like, oh, is this going to be a nasty game for Wizards looking at that? And he was the one that set up some amazing plays coming out of the jungle.
Thing is, he was always at the right place at the right time. Like, he was always there to go for the counter ganks, always there to actually make the ganks really happen. And he was so far ahead, you know, he built a Spirit of the Elder, or Ancient Lizard, and he even got a Bloodthirster. Like, why would you ever build damage on Jarvan? Because he's so far ahead at this point, because there's only one kill on the other team, and Alternate, like, they had a good composition. Like, you saw a good fight from them where they were able to finally take down a couple members of the Wizards, but it was just too far. Like, 20,000 gold lead is impossible to come back from.
Yeah, really strong performance by Wizards. Let's have a look a little bit more towards the next game then, because, you know, that one, that's all finished now. Wizards, though, in this next game, that was a red team win. They're now going to move over onto the blue team, which statistically is the stronger side. They're going to have first ban. They're going to have first pick. What can we expect from the bans and picks? Because I think Demon nailed this one as well, that who do you ban now against Wizards? Do you go with the 3 bans that you went for before? Do you take out Shen? Do you take out Jarvan? Do you take out Diana? Do you even take out Varus there? I mean, this is such a hard game now for Alternate, and I'm sure that they're spending their 5-minute break talking about how that went, and I'm sure even the last 10, 15, 20 minutes even of that last game, they were already talking about the next game.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think Alternate's going to ban out anything specifically against the Wizards lineup, even though they had these champions, because it's on the other side, so it's going to be a little bit different in terms of how the game goes, and nothing really gave them, like, a really hard problem. Like, look at the game. It wasn't like one champion was like, oh, man, he's overpowering us, always there, ganking us,
the problem
always
was all of them.
Exactly. It was, I don't honestly, I'm looking at it, I don't know if it was Wizards playing amazing or if it was Alternate just failing in terms of how the game kind of developed and snowballed a little bit, but I don't think there's going to be any certain targeted bans. I mean, obviously, Twisted Fate will be taken out. I think, if anything, Wizards might take away a couple of champions from Alternate.
Well, one thing's for sure, Alternate didn't, just to touch on your point there about were Wizards amazing or were Alternate just really not on their game today. There were a couple of occasions where we saw, you know, 2 guys going in, but 1 guy holding back and the other one dying, then the second guy going in. We saw that one at the top lane with an amazing Varus ultimate that really turned things around. Alternate didn't look coordinated today whatsoever. This didn't look like the Alternate finished second in Lille.
And if I'm not mistaken, they've been boot camping the past couple weeks. I think they actually have a house there they're all sitting in and playing together. And I mean, it might be Cretan coming into the team, and in terms of, like, you know, he's a different AD carry, it might be a little bit different working with him, but he didn't play bad at all that game. It was just like one mistake kind of snowball. It seemed like they were a little bit of one of the like a little bit like SK, where the motivation or the snowball emotionally kind of goes downwards and spirals out of control.
Well, that's it from us here on the analysis test for this one. Of course, we will be moving into Game 2 soon. But one thing's for sure, Wizards now 1 game away from setting up a next round clash. And the clash, you know, best of 5 to get in the summer split of the LCS against Giants. That would be, of course, an all-Spanish matchup. That would be very interesting to see. Alternate got a lot of work to do to come back from what was surely a very demoralizing defeat to them there in Game 1. We'll be back in just a few minutes, guys. Don't